He only knew that the girl was cold. He only knew that she had been standing in the same spot for over an hour. Franklin Gear noticed her the way you notice a crack in a sidewalk you've walked past 100 times, not all at once, but in pieces. First the blue jacket, too thin for November. Then the cardboard sign propped against the base of the lamppost. Then the shoebox at her feet with a few dollar bills folded inside, flattened by the wind. He had come out of the Hargrove building at 4:30, the same as every Tuesday briefcase in his left hand and his phone already in his right. He was 61 years old, a senior partner at one of the oldest civil litigation firms in the state of Georgia, and he had not gotten to where he was by stopping on sidewalks. But the girl was maybe 11, maybe 12. And she was selling handmade bookmarks. He almost kept walking. He had made it 3 full steps past the lamppost when he stopped. The bookmarks were laminated. Someone had cut them carefully, the edges clean and even, and decorated each one with pressed flowers. Small yellow ones, white ones, a few pale purple. The girl had arranged them in the shoebox like a display case, propped against one another so the flowers showed. Franklin turned around. "How much?" he asked. She looked up at him. She had her mother's eyes, he would think later, though he didn't know that yet. Dark brown, steady, not shy. $2, she said. "Or whatever you want to give. Do you have one with lavender?" She reached into the box without hesitation and pulled out a bookmark with 3 small sprigs pressed along the bottom, their color still holding. She held it out to him. He took it. He turned it over in his hand. It was sturdier than he expected. "Did you make these yourself?" "My grandmother and I made them," she said. "The flowers are from her garden." Franklin reached into his breast pocket for his wallet. He had a 20. He handed it to her and told her to keep the change, and she thanked him with a seriousness that most adults didn't manage. Then he walked to his car, drove home, and set the bookmark on his desk, next to a photograph of his late wife. He did not think about the girl again for 11 days. The second time he saw her, it was a Wednesday early morning, and she was outside Caldwell's Diner on Peach Street with the same shoebox. It was 7 in the morning, and the temperature had dropped overnight into the low 40s. She was wearing the same blue jacket. Franklin had stopped at Caldwell's because he had a deposition at 9 and hadn't had time to make breakfast. He ordered coffee and a biscuit at the counter, and while he waited, he looked out through the window. The girl was talking to a man who had stopped on the sidewalk. The man was shaking his head. He walked away. The girl watched him go, then straightened her sign and went back to standing. Franklin picked up his coffee and his biscuit and went outside. "You go to school?" he asked her. She looked up at him. She recognized him. He could tell because her expression shifted slightly, not quite a smile, but something close to relief. "I'm between schools right now," she said. He had been a lawyer for 34 years. He knew what that phrase meant and what it was covering. "Between schools," he repeated. "We moved," she said. "The enrollment paperwork takes a while." "How long have you been waiting?" She thought about it honestly, which he appreciated. "About 6 weeks." 6 weeks. He looked at the shoebox. He looked at the sign which read in careful block letters, "Handmade bookmarks, supports my family." "What's your name?" he asked. "Cora," she said. "Franklin Gear." He held out his hand and she shook it. Her hand was cold, but her grip was firm. "Where's your grandmother today?" Cora's face changed, just slightly. The steadiness shifted into something smaller. "She's home," she said. "She doesn't get around as well in the cold." Franklin nodded. He didn't push. He bought 2 more bookmarks, one with dried rose petals, one with a single blue cornflower pressed in the center, and he went to his position. But he thought about her all morning. During the deposition, during the lunch he ate at his desk, during the drive home on I-75 with the radio off. He thought about a girl standing in 40-degree weather or trying to support her family with $2 bookmarks while her enrollment paperwork sat in a stack somewhere. He thought about what "Resports my family" meant when the person writing the sign was 12 years old. His secretary, a woman named Helen, who had worked with him for 19 years and knew when to speak and when not to, watched him come in on Thursday morning and set a handmade bookmark on the corner of his desk. "That's the 3rd one," she said. "I know. You're going to tell me about it." "Not yet." She left him alone. That was what he valued most about Helen. She understood that some things needed to be turned over in a person's mind before they were ready to be said out loud. What Franklin was turning over was this. He had spent 34 years fighting for people in courtrooms, estates, custody battles, wrongful terminations. He knew the system well enough to know exactly where it ground people down. And he knew that a 12-year-old girl standing outside the diner at 7 in the morning in November had already fallen through more than one gap. He pulled up the Georgia Department of Education enrollment requirements on his computer. He read them carefully, the way he read contracts. Then he picked up the phone and called a woman named Sandra Beaumont, who ran the district office for the Atlanta public school system and owed him a favor from a property dispute 3 years prior. Sandra, he said, I need to understand the expedited enrollment process for displaced students. She told him. He listened. He asked 3 follow-up questions and wrote down 2 names. Then he put on his coat and drove to Peach Street. Cora was there. Same spot, same jacket, same shoebox. The morning crowd had thinned. She had made, by her count when he asked, $14 since 7 o'clock. Franklin stood next to her lamppost and looked at the street for a moment before he spoke. Cora, I need to ask you something, and I need you to tell me the truth. She looked at him steadily. Okay. Is there an adult at home who can come down here and talk with me? A parent, or your grandmother, or someone? Her expression didn't close off the way he expected. Instead, she studied him for a moment, measuring something. Why? She asked. Because I think I might be able to help with the enrollment problem, he said. But I can't do anything without talking to whoever is responsible for you legally. A long pause. The wind moved her sign. My grandmother's name is Vera, she said. She's home on Dunmore Street. She can't take the bus anymore because of her hip. Could I drive you there after you pack up today? Another pause. She was thinking it through, he could see it. Weighing him against whatever she had learned about strangers, from however she had gotten to where she was. You bought 3 bookmarks, she said finally. I did. And you came back. I did. She picked up the shoebox. I'll call her first, she said, so she knows you're coming. Vera Okafor was 68 years old and had come to Atlanta from Nigeria 23 years ago with her daughter and a single suitcase. She had worked as a home health aide for 16 years. She had a hip replacement scheduled for February that kept getting pushed back because of insurance complications. She had been raising Cora for the past 14 months, since Cora's mother, Vera's daughter, had died of a pulmonary embolism at 37 years old. She told Franklin all of this at her kitchen table, over tea she insisted on making, despite the fact that he told her twice it wasn't necessary, in a voice that was quiet and matter-of-fact and without any of the apology that people sometimes put into hard truths. Cora is a good child, Vera said. She decided to sell the bookmarks herself. I didn't ask her to. I know, Franklin said. She doesn't like to feel helpless. I noticed that. Vera looked at him across the table. She had the same eyes as her granddaughter, or rather Cora had hers, steady. Not unkind, but not soft either. The eyes of someone who had learned to assess people quickly. Mr. Gear, she said, why are you here? It was a fair question. He had been asking himself a version of it for 3 days. Because I've spent a long time helping people navigate systems that aren't designed to be navigated, he said. And because your granddaughter is standing outside in 40-degree weather when she should be in school. And because I can do something about the second part. Vera was quiet for a moment. We have a caseworker, she said. Through the county, she's been trying. I know. The county process is slow. There's a faster path if you have someone who knows the right people in the district office. He paused. I know the right people. Another silence. Outside, Cora was at the kitchen counter doing something with dried flowers and scissors, pretending not to listen. What do you get out of this? Vera asked. Franklin thought about it honestly. I had a daughter, he said. She would have been Cora's age. He didn't explain the rest. He didn't need to. Vera wrapped both hands around her mug. She looked at him for a long moment. Then she nodded once, the way people nod when they've decided something they were already leaning toward. All right, she said. Tell me what you need from me. The paperwork took 9 days. Franklin called Sandra Beaumont twice and the district enrollment office 3 times. He drove Vera to a notary on a Thursday morning because she couldn't take the bus. He wrote 1 letter on firm letterhead, not threatening, not legal, just clear, outlining the timeline and the circumstances and the fact that he was watching. On a Monday in the 3rd week of November, Cora May Okafor was enrolled at Riverside Middle School, 3/4 of a mile from Dunmore Street. Franklin didn't go to the school. He didn't think it was his moment to be there for. He found out from Vera, who called him that afternoon from what he recognized as a crying voice that was trying hard not to be. She went in on her own, Vera said. She didn't want me to walk her in. She said she was fine. Was she? A short silence. She came home and ate 2 bowls of soup and talked for 45 minutes about her English teacher. So yes, I think she was fine. Franklin laughed. It was the first time he had laughed in a while, and it surprised him slightly. He sent Cora a card. A plain one, nothing sentimental, and inside he wrote, Good luck. Keep making things with your hands. It's a good instinct. He didn't hear from them for almost 3 weeks. He told himself he hadn't expected to. He went back to his cases, his depositions, his Tuesday afternoons in the Hargrove building. He put Cora's bookmarks in the left-hand drawer of his desk, where he kept the things he didn't want to lose. Then, on a Tuesday afternoon in December, Helen knocked on his office door. There's a young girl in the lobby, she said, with an older woman. She says her name is Cora and that you know her. He came out to the lobby and found them there, Cora in a new jacket, green this time, and Vera beside her with her cane and a paper bag. We brought something, Cora said. She held out the bag. For Christmas. Or whatever you celebrate. Inside the bag was a framed set of pressed flower bookmarks, 6 of them arranged in 2 rows, mounted on cream paper under glass. The flowers were more elaborate than the ones in the shoebox. Dried hydrangeas, small fern fronds, a few deep red petals he didn't recognize. We had more time, Cora said, watching him look at it. Now that I'm in school, I do my homework first, and then we work on the flowers in the evening. Grandma found a new species at the garden center. Franklin looked at the frame for a long moment. This is the most careful thing anyone has made for me in a long time, he said. Vera made a sound that wasn't quite a laugh, but was in the same neighborhood. You know, she said, when Cora told me about you the first time. The man who bought a bookmark and came back, I told her not to trust it. I said people don't come back. She tilted her head slightly. I was wrong. Franklin set the frame on Helen's desk so he could shake Cora's hand properly. She shook it the same way she always did, firm, no hesitation. How's the English teacher, he asked. She assigned us a personal essay, Cora said. I wrote about the bookmarks. What did you say about them? Cora thought about it for a moment, the same way she had thought about whether to trust him on Peach Street. Carefully, honestly. I said that my grandmother taught me that you make things when you can't fix things, she said. And that sometimes the thing you make is the thing that fixes it. He didn't say anything for a moment. What grade did you get? He asked. A minus, she said. She said my conclusion needed work. Franklin Gear laughed again. Twice in 1 month, which was more than he'd managed in the better part of a year. He hung the framed bookmarks on the wall of his office, between his law degree and a photograph of the Georgia coast at low tide. Helen asked him about them the next morning, and he told her the whole story, start to finish, which surprised her, because he was not ordinarily a man who told whole stories. So what happens now? Helen asked. Nothing dramatic, he said. She goes to school. Her grandmother gets her hip taken care of. They keep making things in the evenings. And you? He looked at the frame on the wall. 6 bookmarks under glass. Dried flowers from a garden in Atlanta, made by a girl who had decided that making something was better than waiting for someone to notice she was there. I bought a flower press, he said. Vera is going to show me how to use it. Helen blinked. You? Franklin Gear, senior partner. Vera said it's meditative. He picked up the nearest case file. I've been told I could use that. Helen pressed her lips together in the particular way that meant she was smiling but had decided not to show it. She left him to his work. The morning came in through the window the way it always did, falling across the desk, across the case files, across the small lavender bookmark he'd moved from the drawer to the corner of his blotter. The first one, the one with 3 sprigs pressed along the bottom, its color still holding. It was still there at the end of the day. It was still there the day after that. Franklin Geezer was not a sentimental man, or he had not thought of himself as one, but he had learned in the past month that sentiment and attention are not the same thing. Sentiment looks backward. Attention looks at what is right in front of you. A girl in a blue jacket, a shoebox of pressed flowers, $2 or whatever you want to give. He had given his attention first. Everything else had followed from that.